Write 0.3 as a fraction. As we've only got one digit to the right of the decimal, it's in the tenths column. Hence, we're going to write the number, in this case 3, over 10. Work out 3 squared. The power represents how many times you're at the base. So 3 squared means 3 multiplied by itself, i.e. 3 times 3, and 3 times 3 gives us 9. Work out 20, divided by in single brackets, 3 plus 2. Applying our rules of BIDMAS or BODMAS, we always do the brackets first. Here, 3 add 2 gives us 5, and that 20 divided by 5 equals to 4. Write down a factor of 60 that is between 8 and 14. Well, a factor is a number that divides into number, in this case 60, without giving a remainder. Our factors generally come in pairs, unless it's the square numbers. So listing out the factors of 60, we'd have 1 and 60 as 1 times 60 is 60. It's even, so 2 and 30 is 2 times 30 equals 60. 3 is a factor, so 3 times 20 will give us 60. 4 is also a factor, 4 times 15 would give us 60. 5 also divides into 60, so 5 times 12 is a factor of 60. And we know 6 times 10 will also give us 60. So 6 and 10 are factors of 60. As we want a factor that's between 8 and 14, the only two factors that satisfy in this case is 12 or 10. Simplify 3 multiplied by w multiplied by 5 multiplied by t. Our first step when multiplying is to multiply any numbers. Here 3 times 5 will give us 15. And if we're multiplying by different letters, they just go next to each other, generally in alphabetical order. So T comes before W, hence my final answer is 15TW. Faye is planning a trip to a theme park for 1 adult and 2 children. These are the costs for the trip. Faye has £200 to spend. She pays all the costs. How much money does she have left? Well, the total cost of petrol is £23, so I write £23 down once. The tickets for the theme park, it's £33 for each adult, and we know there's only 1 adult going, so I'm just going to write that down once. So that's giving me my £33. The tickets for each child is £24.50, and as we've got 2 children going, therefore it's going to be 2 multiplied by £24.50, which will give us £49. So the price of the 2 children's tickets comes to £49, or I could write £24.50 out twice. I know the meals cost £15 for each adult, and we've only got 1 adult going, so in this case I write down the £15 once. The meals for each child is £10, and as we've got 2 children going, it's going to be 2 times £10, which gives us £20. So it's going to cost £20 for the 2 children's meals, or add £10 on twice. I'm now going to add up all the costs to work out the total. Always starting on the right, our units, our ones column. 3 add 3 is 6, 6 add 9 is 15, 15 add 5 is 20. So I put 0 down and carry the 2. Adding up our tens column, 2 add 3 is 5, add 4 is 9, add 1 is 10, add 2 is 12, add the 2 I carried, gives us 14. Hence, the total cost for the trip to the theme park comes to £140. As Faye has £200 to spend, and the total cost is £140, I'm now going to subtract the £140 to find out how much money she has left. Always starting on the right, 0 subtract 0 gives us 0. I can't subtract 4 from 0, so I borrow from its neighbour. So 2 drops to 1, and I carry the 1. 10 subtract 4 gives us 6, and 1 subtract 1 will give us 0. So she has £60 left. Here is a list of 8 letters. Write down the mode. Well, our mode is our most common. A way of remembering is mode and most both start with the same 2 letters, i.e. MO. In this case, our mode is the letter A, as it occurs the most. One of the 8 letters is going to be picked at random. On the probability scale, mark where across the probability that this letter will be B. Well, the way probability works is the number of successes on the top. So the number of letters with a B on it, in this case, is 1 and 2. So there's 2 chances of being successful of getting letter B. And it's always divided by the number of letters. In this case, we know the number of letters, there's 8. So it's 2 over 8. We can see here our scale has been divided into 8 sections. Hence 2 over 8, 1, 2. Therefore, the probability of getting a B will be here. Find the probability that this letter will be a C. Well, the way probability works is the number of successes on the top. So how many letters have letter C on it? In this case, just 1. So there's 1 success out of, in this case, we know there's 8 letters. So the probability of getting letter C will be 1 over 8. Solve means to work out the value of the letter. In this case, I'm working out the value of M. As I want to get M by itself, I must move the negative 3 across to the right by doing the opposite. The opposite of minus 3, therefore, is to add 3 to both sides to keep my equation balanced. On the left-hand side, negative 3, add 3 will cancel. Hence, I'm just left with single m, which is what I want. And on the right-hand side, 4 add 3 gives us 7. Again, solve means to work out the value of the letter. In this case, I'm working out the value of n. My first step is to collect like terms. As they both end in single n, they are like terms. Here I've got 3n plus n. Well, n by itself is the same as having 1n. So 3n plus another 1n gives us 4n. And that equals on the right-hand side to 24. 4n in algebra, a number in front of a letter means to multiply. So 4n means 4 multiplied by n. As I want to get the value of single n, the opposite of multiply by 4 is I'm going to divide both sides of my equation by 4 to keep my equation balanced. On the left-hand side, 4 over 4 will cancel to leave us with single n, which is exactly what I want. And on the right-hand side, 24 divided by 4 gives us 6. Find the value of y. Locating y, I can see in the centre here, I know that angles around a point always add up to 360 degrees. As I know this angle is 70 and I want to work out y, therefore I just go 360, subtract my 70. Again, always starting on the right. 0 subtract 0 gives us 0. I can't subtract 7 from 6, so I borrow from its neighbour. So 3 drops to 2, and I carry the 1. 16 subtract 7 gives us 9, and 2 subtract 0 gives us 2. Hence, y is 290. Give a reason for your answer. Well, you know that angles around a point always add up to 360 degrees. A shop sells jars of coffee. Each jar of coffee costs £4. Michael has £23. Work out the greatest number of jars of coffee Michael can buy. So one way is list out our 4 times table, because each jar of coffee costs £4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and then 24. As he only has £23, therefore he can afford 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can only afford 5 jars of coffee because 5 jars cost £20. He hasn't got enough for 6, so therefore 5 jars of coffee. In a sale on Wednesday, jars of coffee are sold at half price. As the original price was £4, half price, then each jar of coffee will now be £2 each. Michael thinks he can now buy exactly twice the number of jars of coffee for £23. Is Michael correct? You must give a reason for your answer. We know that 2 divided into 23, 11 whole times, as 11 times 2 will give us £22. So therefore he has enough money to now buy 11 jars of coffee. So therefore he's incorrect, as twice would be only 10. Here are 2 triangles on a grid. Triangle B is an enlargement of triangle A. Write down the scale factor of the enlargement. To find the scale factor, we always divide the new length by its corresponding old length. As B is an enlargement of A, therefore the top here, that would be my new length. So count the number of squares. In this case, my new length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And my old length, looking at the tops, the corresponding side, my old length, in this case, is 1, 2, 3. Therefore, to find the scale factor, I always divide the new length by its corresponding old length. So in this case, 6 divided by 3. And 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. So the enlargement scale factor is 2. On the grid, mark where across the centre of enlargement. To find the centre of enlargement, all we do is we match up corresponding vertices. So I'm taking the top left of shape A and shape B. I then get a ruler and draw a line right the way through my diagram. I now repeat this process and match up my vertices at the top right of shape A and shape B, and then getting my ruler, match them up, and then draw a line right the way through my page. And then finally matching up my 2 bottom vertices, once again, match them up, getting a ruler, and then draw a line right the way through my diagram. We should notice where all my lines cross, that's my centre of enlargement. Here are 2 parallelograms on a coordinate grid. Parallelogram D is a reflection of parallelogram C. On the grid, draw the mirror line. As we know, the mirror line is a direct reflection. Here we can see the mirror line is a diagonal line. So drawing my mirror line, write down the equation of this mirror line. Looking at the coordinates of this mirror line, it passes through 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, etc. So whatever x is, y is exactly the same. So that line is y equals x, or you can call that x equals y. Eleanor spent 120 minutes at a sports centre. She played badminton for 50 minutes. She used the swimming pool for 1/6 of the 120 minutes. Well, of in mathematics means to multiply. So it'd be 1/6 multiplied by 120. When calculating a fraction amount, we always divide by the bottom and times by the top. Well, 120 divided by 6 is 20, and 20 times 1 gives us 20. So she spent 20 minutes in the swimming pool. She used the gym for 20% of the 120 minutes. When calculating a percent, we know 100% represents the original. So 100% represents the total number of minutes, in this case 120. To calculate 20%, my next step would be to find 10%. What do I divide 100 by to get down to 10? I divide by 10. Whatever you do to the left, you do the same to the right to keep it equivalent. 120 divided by 10 gives us 12. That's 10%. As I want 20%, what do I do to 10 to get to 20%? I double it, times it by 2. Hence, do the same to the right. So times that by 2. So 12 times 2 gives you 24. So she spent 24 minutes in the gym. We're told she spent the rest of the 120 minutes in the cafe. Work out the total time in minutes that Eleanor spent in the cafe. Well, we know from the start she spent 50 minutes on badminton. So we're going to start adding our 50. Plus, she spent 20 minutes in the swimming pool. So 20 minutes, add on 20. And she spent 24 minutes in the gym. So add on 24. Always start on our right, our units. 0 add 0 add 4 gives us 4. Our tens column, 5 add 2 is 7. And 7 add 2 is 9. So she spent 94 minutes in total exercising. As we know, she spent 120 minutes at the sports centre. I'm going to do 120, subtract the 94 minutes that she was either doing badminton, swimming, or in the gym to work out the amount of time she was in the cafe. And 120 subtract 94 gives us 26. So she spent 26 minutes in the cafe. Eleanor got to the sports centre at 1:30 p.m. She asked her friend to meet her in the cafe at 3 p.m. Did Eleanor get to the cafe by 3 p.m? Give a reason for your answer. Well, as she arrived at the sports centre at 1:30 p.m, we know in total she spent 94 minutes playing badminton, going swimming, and going to the gym. So therefore, I've got to add on the 94 minutes. We know that 94 minutes is the same as 1 hour and 34 minutes, as 1 hour is 60 minutes. Therefore, 1:30 p.m. plus 1 hour and 34 minutes means that Eleanor would get to the cafe at 3:04 p.m. As she asked to meet her friend at 3 p.m, would she get to the cafe by 3 p.m? In this case, no.